What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and today we're back for another programming live stream. I'm so excited. I really enjoy doing these. Apologies for the delay. I have been busy right up until the stream. In fact, I'm a little bit late to the stream, as you can tell, so I do apologize. But we are here now. I think the audio should be good. It's hard for me to tell the desktop audio because of, I can't listen to it while I'm streaming. So I'm going to pull it up on my phone. I'm going to watch my own stream on my phone. That way I can look at the chat more easily, and also so I can listen to it. It's hard for me to tell the desktop audio because of... Okay, I think the music might even be a little bit quiet. So I'm going to turn it up a little bit. And then if you can hear it, let me know. If it's too loud, let me know. But I think that sounds good. So thanks for coming by. I saw Avery, Grandma, MCC Gamer. Thank you. Thank you for coming by. Does that stand for Master Chief Collection? If so, great game. If it stands for something else, though, I'm sure that's also great. Let's go to the Twitch game Unreal thing, and let me also turn off vibration here so that my phone doesn't fall over when it's in its little slot. Okay, I think we're good. So we've been doing a lot of these, and these are a ton of fun. Usually what I do to start off these episodes is kind of just get into the game, and then we can talk about what we did in the previous episode and the entire thing, and just show you. So first things first, we have changed the character over to this knight character, mainly because I want to implement specific animations, special attacks, and things like that I can't really put on the mannequin without taking the mannequin rig, putting it into Mixamo, changing up a bit, or using some sort of plugin. And I don't really want to do all that, especially not on the stream, because it's very specific to that, and not really important for what we're doing here. So I got a new skeleton, I got a new character here, and we're looking pretty good. So we're this little knight guy, right off Mixamo. So he's a free model character that we can use. The animations are free use. We've got quite a bit going on here. So you saw I collected a coin earlier. This is a key. It does just stick in my back at the moment. This is a teleporter, by the way. So this key can be used to open a corresponding door. So the regular doors open by stepping on pressure plates. This is a bronze door, so if we walk into the door with the bronze key, the door opens and it remains open. We should probably get rid of the key at that point, but if you have multiple, doors that open from this, you may want to use that. And like we have a silver key, but I don't have the silver key right now, so I can't open the silver door. So we're doing, we got quite a bit going on here. We also have enemies that if we run into them, we get launched back and take damage. And, oh, this character's not locked on the X-axis, so I will need to fix that, otherwise we'll get launched out of place. But we can actually jump on the character's head. So you got an error from this cast. Was it from the get attached actors? I'm sure. I'm gonna compile. It could have been nothing. Okay, I think it was nothing. All right. So Unreal likes to throw a lot of fake errors, I call them, and these errors are essentially they just pop up because something went wrong with compiling, or a blueprint or code file was not up to date. So there is a small issue. Usually compiling will fix it. If we see that issue again, then it's just an is valid error. It's a null error. So we can go ahead and update that. But we're gonna get started. So today, what we want to really focus on, I never have an agenda for these episodes specifically. I just think of some things ahead of time that I'd like to implement, and then we go through them. But we can take, we can go down a different road and just start working on something else entirely. Like the one episode we started working on this rolling ball using Unreal's physics system, and we were just changing a bunch of stats with it and also seeing how we could use it to manipulate things in the game. I need to change this character to be locked on the X-axis, because otherwise he will go out of view. So character movement, I believe it is. We can just search for it, but it should be right here somewhere. Constrain to plane, and we want to constrain them to the X plane. Now doing that will make it so when we jump on them, we stay on the X plane. We do get launched. That's on purpose. I gave the character some launch after jumping on the head. And it kind of depends on your velocity already and different things that we set up. Now, this character doesn't have all the logic that the mannequin has. There are some things that I changed. Well, I just didn't implement because now we can actually add animations. So we will have to be adjusting that to work with anything we need. But I'm very satisfied with what we have going on right now. So let's get into it. Today I want to go over, more than anything, I want to go over attacks. I want to go over different ways we can perform an action, perform an animation, and cause an opponent to take damage. So at the current time, we have this little triangle. This is an invincibility power-up that actually, if you pick it up and run into an opponent, they end up getting killed. So I'm going to move this up here, floating up above. That way, this can be picked up and still shown off, but now we don't automatically run into it. So normally, if you run into your opponent, you either get launched back, and we don't do any sort of logic, we're just launching them at a flat rate. So like if I hit him from... That's weird. I had broken something. Oh, because he doesn't have his die function set up. Never mind. That makes sense why it's not working. But anyway, you can see that normally you get launched back. So we need a way to counter this. And if we're not doing jumping, since I'm kind of going for more of the Castlevania feel at this point, we want a lot of these little puzzle mechanics, door mechanics, whatever. But we want to make sure our attacks feel good, and we want to make sure we can use them to defeat our enemies in an appropriate way. So there's a few ways we can do our attacks. One, we could swing our sword, and the sword could have a hitbox on it. It could have some sort of box collider or something attached to the sword, attached to the character's bone, and as that's moving, if that hits an opponent, hits an object, it does damage. We can also spawn a hitbox when we attack, and that would be okay. It's what we do in the fighting game tutorial, for example. But the problem with that is you get like one frame specifically where that will occur. So if they walk into it and you're still doing the animation after the hitbox fired, then it won't hurt them, or if it does hurt them, because you set it up to wait and check on an overlap, then it could be delayed so that you could hurt them after the animation. You'd have to make this specific for every attack and every character that you want to be able to take damage from it. So that's a little bit weird. We don't necessarily want to do that in this case. You know, that works for something like the fighting game. That's what you want. But in this case, we kind of just want to attach some sort of collider to the sword so that every time we do an attack, it does damage. The other thing we can do is actually just check if the character is in a certain state, like an attacking state or an animation, and then if they collide, do damage. That method's not really great because you could be behind him. Like, I could be in this animation, like behind him like this, and do an attack, you know? If he walks into me, then he takes damage. That doesn't really make sense. Unless my sword is really going behind me, we don't really want to hit him like that. So that's not really the best case here either. What we're going to do is attach a hurtbox, really, or excuse me, a hitbox, really just a collider. Can you show us how to make a scorpion spear? That's a cool idea. You mean like his get over here spear? Yeah, absolutely. That's it. First of all, it's an awesome idea. Welcome to the live stream. And yeah, we can definitely do that. I don't know if we'll be doing that today. I'm willing to. I may need to figure out the best way to do it. I think the best way to do it, if you want to get a head start, is to, upon collision, attach the character to the actor of like the spear, and then actually reel the spear back in. Because then the attached actor will get pulled back to the character. I think that's the best way to do it using Unreal. We will absolutely cover it. I love that idea. It deserves an episode of its own, quite frankly. So, absolutely. And thanks for coming to the stream. It is really, really nice to have you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so let's just get started. I mean, that's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna add a collider to this guy, and we're gonna attach it to the sword. Now, the only issue with attaching something to the sword is we have to make sure he's still attacking. If we have a collider that's on the sword, we don't want to just, you know, oh, I walked into him, looks like he gets damaged out. Now, in the third-person / action RPG tutorial series we have, I make sure that they're attacking to do that and then trigger it. That's not really the best way either. The reason I did it there will become more apparent later on, but the best way to do it, in a simplistic way, where we just need to check collision and we don't want to like double damage, things like that, is box collider, enable and disable the collision when we're doing an attack. It can be on an notify, it can be whenever really. We can trigger it and that's okay. but we want to be able to have full control over when it does damage and where it's located. In the case of a side-scroller, really it's not too bad. So we could spawn this and attach it. However, since every character can be different, maybe some characters don't have a sword, or maybe they don't have it on that bone, there's no reason to really limit us in that way. So what we can actually do is just attach it here. We can actually just add a box collision here, and I call it like sword collision. Okay? And it can be overlap all, because we don't necessarily want to block anything when we hit it. Example, you have a rushing enemy that's running right toward you. You hit them, the whole goal of you hitting them might be you hit them and then have to jump over them or something. You don't want to necessarily block them because they're hitting your box collider. That doesn't really make sense. So right off the bat, we don't want that. We can leave it overlap. It doesn't need to be visible, but it can be visible and hidden in the game. It's fine. The most important part here is that we attach it to the right spot. So, we have this box collision, as I've said, and we could manually attach it to the skeleton, but we don't really want to do that either. Maybe we have different weapons that we can change or something like that. The best way is in the construction script. So when this character gets created, and it basically in its constructor encode, if you're familiar with that, then this will trigger the logic that we put in the viewport. Or excuse me, that we put in the construction script. So if we attach the collider to a specific bone or socket, then we can just do it from the construction script and it will automatically be applied. So allow me to demonstrate. We have our sword collision box collider that is now a variable. What we can do is attach this to our actor. Forget which one. This is the parent. Nope. Did I just do the same one? I thought I did the bottom. Okay, here we go. Okay. I don't know why it won't let me do that. Oh, because, hold on, I'm doing attached to component. I'm doing the wrong thing. I do. Can I put in... Maybe I can't. Maybe I can't do it. Maybe I do have to make it separate. Okay, let's make it separate. I thought I could add it right here, but I don't know if I'll be able to actually attach it the way I want without spawning it separately. If I spawn it as its own actor and then use it as a component, that will work. But as a basic component, I don't actually know if we can attach it right off the bat the way I want to. So let's go ahead and do this. We can actually use this anyway because we can then modify this for every weapon we have. So I'm going to make a folder here and organize some of this stuff. Let's say objects. And basically all these can be put into that. We can organize that more. Base enemy BP can go into characters. Alright, so let's go weapons. Let's make a folder for weapons, and then we'll make the collider in there. And then spawn it, and then attach it that way. So blueprint class, it can be a basic actor. Doesn't really matter what it is. And we're gonna say weapon collider, BP. Okay, now the weapon collider BP isn't gonna have anything in it. We can keep the default scene root. I like to keep that so there is some sort of hierarchy if we need to add things down the line. We need our box collision. We will call this weapon collider. Whoops. Collider. Now, there are a few things with this. So if we want to use this for multiple cases, we'll need to manually change the size, or we can set up things on the skeleton to determine what size it should be. But without actually looking at the bones or the structure of the skeleton, there's no real other way to do it. You can make educated guesses, but otherwise it's going to have to be manual. So most of the time it's going to have to be manual unless you're doing something more advanced, like, again, looking at the skeleton, actually morphing the collision around that, which is very possible. I don't think we really need that for this case. I'm not going to do it for this case, but Okay, let's make sure our settings are correct. Overlap all dynamics should still be fine. Everything should be fine here. I'll leave it as a cube for now, just so we can see what it looks like. But in our construction script for our paladin character, now what we can do, we can actually spawn this actor. Can I do spawn actor from class in the... I'm really going to spawn it separately. Okay. I see how it's going to be. I see you. So then what we need to do first is go and... Oh, God, where was that at? Art? Probably. Models. Skeleton. Okay. So let's add a socket on here. This is the first time I look at the skeleton, so I apologize. This is his right hand. The sword. Oh, it's got a sword joint. We could do it right off the joint. I think that's probably the best place to do it. I see. Does this have... Doesn't have anything else. Okay, so we'll do it off the sword joint. So we can add a socket here. And we can call this... Wait, let me... Oh, so I had two things selected. Let me rename you. We'll call this Collider Socket. Yeah, we'll call it Collider Socket. That's good enough. And now we have our socket. There is one thing I want to see if I... You used to be able to do this where you could actually attach a... I could do the script, but it's not really the way I want because you have to make it a separate component. I mean, it would work just fine. I mean, we could learn. This is all about learning. I could try it. But no, you'd have to do... You can only do scripts of certain types, so that wouldn't work. I really wanted this to be nicer. I wanted to do it in the construction script because if I can do it in here, you can see it in the viewport. And I know you can do it with certain things. Like, I did it in the Action RPG tutorial series, but I did it a little bit differently. I wanted to do it in the construction script here because I thought it would be the nicest. You would be able to see it in the editor. It would follow it around, and we could dynamically resize it. I may have to wait on doing that. Let me take a quick look, one more look at adding it as a component here, because I think it is possible. I just can't remember exactly how I did it. Oh, put that as a component of the mesh. Be the capsule, box, collision. We'll say sword, collider yet again. Okay. I almost wonder. Hold on, is this how you can do it? Cannot change. What, do I have to type it in? So, cannot change socket on inherent components. Okay. Oh, for the collider, I see the issue. So I want to be able to do that because it has to be. Okay. Man, I really wish I could do that. I'll give it another minute or two, then we'll just use the other method that I know works. But this would be a lot cleaner. Let me see. This is all part of the process, so that's kind of the whole point of the live streams. Just playing around with things, having fun, learning myself, hopefully teaching you guys something. So if it doesn't work, you know, we'll do another method that I know works to keep it cleaner. But I really want to get this to work. I think we can get this working. We put this as weapon collider yet again. I keep calling it weapon collider or sword collider, one or the other. Now, we can't attach it to the socket because it's an inherent component. That's okay. But what if I were to do this? So, what if... So we can attach it to a component. So we don't put the actor in, but what if we put the mesh in and attach it to the mesh? Can we not put the mesh in as a component either? Oh wait, this one would be the... We can do that. Oh, my bad. As the scene component is what I was trying to do. Can we put in the mesh as the parent? We actually might be able to do it right here. Now the mesh, I'm not sure. This is the skeleton mesh, so this will have the socket in. We can do sword collider socket. Is that what I called it? Or did I call it weapon? Oh, I just called it collider socket because I'm silly. Let's make this more specific. Sword collider socket. This might work. If it doesn't work, like I said, well, we learned something. But this might be the way to do it. This might be the way that we make it work. Now, this is in the construction script. It does work. Okay, so this is what I was trying to do, so you guys can see it and we can change it dynamically. Excellent. I just had to grab the right component. I was trying to attach it to the actor when I should have just been using the mesh. So there we go. And now you can see that it actually follows this around quite. I mean, it's working very well. Now it's just a giant cube, so it's not the right shape. Hey Everglades, nice to see you. Happy that you're here. Right now we're playing around with colliders on our character. So we put a collider on the construction script, that way it follows this specific socket around. I'm gonna resize this box to fit the length of the sword, essentially. Now I'm gonna do this manually. I know we talked about, oh, you can do it, you know, all these different things I was saying. Like, you could make it better by doing it this way, but the thing is, this is way easier to do manually. Because if I were to do a whole thing on how you could automate it, I mean, it would be fine, but the problem is it is not quite that simple. It would take a pretty significant amount of time. Okay, so something like this. So now you can see I have a collider, and the collider is clearly following the sword. I mean, it's a little bit lenient, you know, it's not directly against the sword, so we'll probably want to adjust it for some better hit detection and things like that. But for now, the important part is that we have this collider following the socket very accurately, and now we can check collision on this collider for when we want to deal damage. Nice, right? I feel like it's pretty cool. Now right off the bat, you're not going to do anything with it, right? Like, okay, we have this overlap actor. It doesn't do anything, so it's not going to matter. But what we can do, first things first, what I like to do, we don't need this weapon collider VP anymore. I should get rid of that. I'll keep the weapons folder. Whoops. Too many W's. Thank you. Get rid of that. Alright, I don't need that anymore. I'm gonna leave it like this. So one thing I do want to do, because I always do this first to make sure I have the collision set up before we get confused. So I always do on component begin overlap, and I make sure that it is actually working. First thing I like to do, because Unreal Collision is weird. You can tell it's working because, first of all, I was getting overlap in the very beginning, just from the way it was sitting, probably from myself, but also as I walk into the opponent, I get it. Okay? So now that we know that this is working, what we can do is make sure that the other actor is of a base enemy BP. So basically, if it's any enemy, then we can also print a string, and then after this we'll just go do the logic to make them take damage. But just to show you, so as I'm colliding with this enemy, as the sword collides with it, you can see as soon as it touches it. It will depend on the part of the animation you're in. You can see I hit it on several parts of the animation. This is why you kind of want to do it in your attack only, because otherwise I'll just be doing damage as I'm standing next to this guy. So we'll need to enable it and disable it, as I've said. But you can see that as soon as it overlaps, it gives us a message. So we know this is working as intended, and that is excellent news. Excellent news for us. And so quite frankly, we can call die on the enemy. And you can see the sword killed the guy. Now that's good, okay? We're working, but we don't have any attacks, so, you know, I mean, we don't want to just walk into him and kill him. Now, first of all, I actually need an attack. So, let's go into mix mode real quick. Because if we're going to be doing this, we do want... Okay, good. This is still up. Amazing. This is from last Friday. So, let's get an attack for our guy. You know, I don't think we need all this dramatic stuff. We just need a basic attack. Standing melee attack. I don't know how I feel about an overhead attack as the basic attack, though. That's okay. Yeah, I think that's a little too dramatic. The torch might actually be... Oh, he's attacking with the torch, though. Basic attack is you hit with a shield. Getting a little dramatic for a standard attack. Do we have, like, just a stab or a jab or something? This combo. Also dramatic. This combo. Stab him with the shield. I mean, that's not too bad, but he's in kind of a weird stance to start. Normally, I don't care too much if the animation is perfect, but the problem is if this is going to be our basic attack, we do want it to look good. We're not going to want to have our basic attack not look good, because then it'll bother us every time we use it, and we don't want to do that. Oh, really? Okay. Hold on. Okay, that's good enough. Let's use this one. Paladin, basic attack. Oops. Art. Here we go. Alrighty. Now we got our attack, so we will have to make sure we can actually use this attack by adding it to the state machine. But then we can enable and disable the collider off of that. So it'll be pretty easy. Be pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. Pretty easy to do. Let's go to our AnimBP. And we'll only let him do his idle or his attack from idle or walk probably. But we would have to stop him from moving as he does his attack if we do it from walk. The run we can do. We don't have run. Yeah, I'll disable. Well, that's fine. The little warning sign isn't going to kill us, I guess. So let's add a not an estate. Let's add a state called basic attack. So I don't plan on making his attack system too advanced, but you'll probably want to have like a jump attack, maybe a running, walking attack difference as well. And the other thing I'll do here, before we set up the logic to transition to this state, is I want to... So you can see this is a ton of frames, and we should really reduce it and not have that many, but it's fine. We still only want it to be active at certain frames. So probably like right around here, because if there's an enemy above you. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. I did not want to clear it. So let's add an anim notify here. We'll say enable sword collider. And then when the attack is done, so like at this point, you know, if we haven't hit anybody by this point, I know this is very close. A lot of this attack is just idle. Then we can go ahead and do disable sword collider. And a lot of it's just recovery, but for these few frames here, it's actually quite a bit of frames, then you can hurt the opponent if you do an overlap. Well, that's going to be the intention, it's not set up yet. Okay, returning to idle should be automatic rule based. Idle to basic attack, so we need to have a boolean to see if we're doing an attack. To do that, of course, we need to set up an input action to do so. Basic attack. We will use the Q key. Go into the code. Go to the header file. And we'll say, if, there we go, if Visual Studio decides to work, has Unreal, has used basic attack. If you guys have watched my other series, you'd probably know this code flow by now. This is the way I like to set it up. You don't have to set it up this way. You could use all enums or a bunch of different ways to do it, but I think that's the easiest. Actually, I've not been setting my my variables in here like I should be. I've been very bad with that. To be fair, you don't really have to. They're gonna default to certain values based on types, but I try not to teach that. You should be setting things by default. It's just good practice. And you know what? Actually, I'll go ahead and do that for all these real quick. Has landed, has jumped, num coins, health, invincibility. Okay, well, invincibility time, we have health, num coins, invincibility time in the state. So those ones are set, but has jumped, has landed. Okay, so something like that. Now in here, we need to make sure we do this. Not on release though, just on press. Basic attack. And instead of trigger jump, we want to call start basic attack. Need to make this function. Doesn't really need to be a U function in this case, so I'll just leave it alone. And start basic attack. We'll just set this to be true. I mean, we can always have things like if you're not, you know, if you're jumping, don't do it and whatever. But for now, it's good enough. Has used basic attack, it's going to be set to true. And then, we need to build this. Get these changes to Unreal. Get the anim logic to Unreal. Open this up a bit. I don't think this will mess with the lighting too much, but it's still daytime out. Thank you so much for the subscription. Sorry if anyone has subscribed and I have not called it out. I can only see it on my phone because I can't see my screen right now. But thank you so much for subscribing. Is the light okay? Let's see. I'm just seeing it now. Oh, no. Okay, that might have made it quite a bit brighter. Actually, it's okay. I'll make it a little bit darker. That way I'm not in, like, pitch black, you know. Light is good for you. It's good for our health. So we don't want to be in straight pitch black over here. Alright. Compile. Excellent. Whenever it decides to finish, it'll probably be like, oh, the HUD's broken or some garbage. I mean, we know how Unreal works. I love Unreal, but we know how it works. It's not the friendliest. Okay, so that's good. Now at this point, all we have to do is grab our character reference, which we already made last episode, and grab the has used basic attack. Plug it in. Now we will need to reset that once this is done. So once this returns, we can say finished attack. And then in the NMBP, we'll want to have something for the finished attack. I like to put everything to the right, but I think I'm going to put it under right now. Finished attack. At this point, we want to make sure that our character reference has their set back to the default value. You can do this in code too. Just call the code function that sets it to false. But this is perfectly fine. I mean, There we go. So at this point, we're looking pretty good. Did I forget anything? I know we gotta still disable the hitbox, but it looks like the animation is working. Looks like we disable it. And you saw I just slashed that man. He is no longer existing in this world. So that feels pretty good. It looks pretty good. We can still walk while attacking, so that will need to be adjusted, of course. But okay, cool. So that's excellent news right there. Now we need to fill out this enable sword collider, disable sword collider. I hate how when you zoom in, zoom out, sometimes the lines don't match up. That's ugly, very ugly, but that's fine. We'll keep it like that because I'll keep it on the zoom level. So we have enable sword collider. And we should have disable sword collider. And the logic here is quite simple. We're going to grab our character reference. We're going to get the sword box. Should be able to grab it, right? Oh, is this the code class? Do I have the Twitch game object. That's the issue here. Let me change this. Let me adjust this to be the paladin character. Whoops. Paladin character. Yes, change the type. Don't want to cast it to this though. Is the problem. We want to change it to the. There we go. So now it should be the paladin character. This character reference should be the paladin character, which it is. And now, now we can still use this the same way we have been using it because it was a child. Hey, what's up? Enjoy the game. It's nice to see you. Thank you so much for coming by. At this point, now we should be able to get the sword collider. Am I being silly? I might be being silly. Hold on. This is a paladin character. Weapon collider should be part of it. Oh, it's weapon collider. That's why. Not all that stuff. Just the weapon collider. Okay. And what we can actually do, I think there's actually an enable disable for colliders. Well, not really, but there is collision enabled. And we can set collision enabled to be false. Well, during enable, we want it to be true, obviously. So we can do collision enabled query and physics in this case. Okay, and then no collision on disable. And the only other thing we have to do to make sure this is working is on begin play, or perhaps in the construction script actually, but I'm going to do it on begin play because it's not like you're doing any sort of collision in the construction, so that would just be stupid. Okay, so begin play. I'm going to do that. Now we can bring this in here. Okay, collision enabled, and we want to say no collision by default. Now the way this is going to work is we will walk into the opponent. We will not hit them, and we will not kill them because we're not using our attack. Our collision is not enabled right now, but the collision box is still going to be following the sword. So when we perform an action to do an attack, then we kill the opponent. And that is the best way I can think of doing that. Now the collision for the jump is a little bit off because he jumps and we don't actually change the size of the hitbox. So you can see there's some times when you should make it and you don't. Those are little things that we can adjust to make better, but there you go. So now we can actually do an attack and kill an opponent. Now this is your fake errors, don't worry. Okay. Back here. Excellent. So that feels good. Right off the bat, that feels good. I'm also going to make it so that we can't move while we are attacking. So basically, the move right function. There it is. I was like, okay. So if not as you use basic attack. And this should stop us from moving while we're attacking. I'm sitting here cleaning out my project. It's turned into more of a fighting game than the side-scroller game, but I love the stream regardless. I hope you never stop, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the kind words and the support. I always love your feedback on the tutorials and the support you give. It feels really nice. I really appreciate that. So thank you so much. I will not be stopping this anytime soon. I definitely won't be stopping the tutorial series. I want to bring all 4 of those games to completion. And I've talked about this on numerous occasions, but the tutorials, they're meant for anybody. Anybody of any level should be able to use them and make a game that they want to make. That's my intention of doing all this. So, you know, like, I know I don't do everything perfectly. A lot of that is on me, just because I'm, you know, I may be an experienced programmer, because that's what I do for my career, but there's always things that I could be learning that I'm not aware of, and that I just didn't think to implement at the time. So there's that, but there's also the fact that I don't jump to the hardest thing right away. There's things already still in the fighting game. I mean, it's 61 episodes in at this point that I know that I could be doing better, and I'm not doing them because they're too complicated right now. For example, I should have done networking a long time ago. Would have made our lives a lot easier. However, to be able to adapt your game, to be able to work on your game, you have to understand what's going on inside of it. That's why buying a template is generally pretty bad. I mean, you buy it, and if there's not any support and you don't understand what's going on, you're not going to be able to change it. It's going to always look like that template. So, you know, no offense to template creators out there. I mean, the fighting game, all of the series will become templates. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's generally bad because if you're just buying it to have the end result and you don't have the knowledge to back it up, that's not good. And I'm just being transparent. Whether that hurts me in the end or not, I feel like it's more important for me to be honest. So, yeah, I'm really glad that you support all the series, and I'm not stopping anytime soon. These are very important to me. These are genuinely a big part of my life. Not, you know, not like sitting here, oh, YouTube is my main career. No. You know, I have my life, and YouTube is a hobby. But, however, the way that you guys talk about the series, the way that you guys enjoy the series and learn new things, and the way that I've gotten to meet you and become friends with you, it's something that it's become a big part of my life. So you don't have to stop. You don't have to worry about me stopping anytime soon. But without getting dark or deep, as long as I'm okay and in good health, there will be plenty of tutorials to come. And the live streams probably won't be stopping anytime soon either, because I have a ton of fun programming live. You guys get to see when I run into issues and how I go about solving them. You can see that I try random things. I don't know everything. So there's always times when you're doing something, you're gonna get stuck somewhere, and you need to just kind of play around with it and use knowledge that you have or that you look up and figure out the solution. Now, I think I built this. I agree 100% about the template spill. Yeah, so I appreciate that. I appreciate your input on it. So yeah, that's the reason I feel that way. Templates are good. They have the ability to be good. But yeah. I mean, you saying you agree, obviously I don't have to explain it again. I'm not trying to repeat myself. It's just, yeah. I'm glad you agree. I'm glad that other people feel that way. I've never really talked to anybody about that. It's just the opinion that I formed. So everything you said is so correct. I'm happy you don't find my comments to be too much. You truly have taught me so much and it's changed my life. Not to get too dark. No, it's not darker. You're good. You're good. I trust me. First of all, your comments are not too much. I am not doing this for recognition or support. Legitimately, I do YouTube because it's fun. But anytime that I get, you know, you guys here, being here, hanging out with me, like, that makes me feel great. The nice comments make me feel great. I mean, quite frank, I'm being completely transparent here. Not saying you have to shower me with comments or anything. But, yeah, of course, I appreciate that. Trust me, it's not too much. And I respond to every single comment, even if it's mean or whatever. As long as it's not an actual troll or, like, bot or something. But, so I would be responding anyway. But reading a nice comment or just a constructive comment. You know, there are good comments that are like, hey, you could have done this better. And that's perfectly fine. I realize that I make mistakes or don't make the tutorials as nice as I could, as perfect as I could. But, yeah. Your comments are never be too much. I appreciate you watching all the tutorials too. Like, I mean, for real, there's a lot of them that probably don't pertain to what you're doing. So people come and sometimes just watch to learn something new, even if it doesn't relate to what they're doing at the moment. So I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that I've taught you and genuinely changed your life. I don't think that's dark, or I don't think that's too dark or too deep either. I mean, that's nice. That's my whole thing. That you guys have become a big part of my life, legitimately. And I'm always thinking about YouTube. You know, sometimes there's some stress involved because like, oh, I gotta get that video up. But the majority of the time, it's just an exciting thing for me. And just to wrap up what I was saying, because I got sidetracked. I sidetrack myself all the time. Like I interrupted myself to go on that. It wasn't you sidetracking me. It was me interrupting myself. Yes, so templates, good, but you have to know how to use them. If you don't know what you're using, then you're using a template to get progress on your project. But getting that progress is going to be worthless to you. If you can't get to that part of your project anyway, you're going to have trouble actually editing the template. And it's, in my opinion, a lot of times people do it as a trap. They make these templates because they know a lot of people who want to see their create their project. They think that they'll just make it nice and easy, but then they offer no support on a Discord or email or whatever, or very little support. Then people buy the template and they get kind of stuck. That's why this whole thing is more open. I try to make everything open to everybody because this isn't intended to be a trap. I'm genuinely trying to help people make games. I mean, when I was younger, I wish there were more tutorials. That's kind of the reason I do this, actually. I wish there were more tutorials that I could have followed. I used to do a lot of Game Maker when I was younger, and there were good tutorials, but no one really explained it in a way that made it nice and easy for me. I was copying things off YouTube videos. I was experimenting and learning from it, but I never had a tutorial on how to make a game I wanted. And the goal wasn't to copy everything. Like, I was doing that, but I was trying to learn. It's just, you know, you look at a tutorial, you say, oh, this works, I'll just take this. But you want to learn. That's the important part here. I looked at the JRPG template and was so lost. I don't know how anyone could ever understand. Yeah, I mean, even now with, like, the tutorials I've done, there's things I forget how I did in them. Like, you can do things like 30 different ways, and they can be legitimate, they can be professionally done, but there's always different approaches. So, you jump into this really complex template that's like 200, 300, like, seriously, I've seen like 200 blueprints. Well, that's not good. That's not a selling point, because that means that you have to try and learn all those or find what specific file is doing a specific thing. I forget if I compiled, so forgive me. I did compile. So see, now we can't move while we're attacking. So this is genuinely becoming a actual game very quickly, because at this point we can have enemies, we can have an attack, and we can only hit the enemies during an attack. So if we have enemies running at us, then they can do damage if we miss our attack, or if we don't do an attack. Now, this is really slow for an attack, for the record. You know, usually you don't want your attacks to be insanely slow, unless you want the player to get just completely punished. But, so cool. So that's the first thing I wanted to cover. I wanted to cover attacks, and I wanted to cover collision on a specific part of the character. So we covered the first two parts. The other part I wanted to add is kind of just either more stuff with the enemies themselves, so maybe make him move back and forth or something. Or we could do, what was the other thing? I had something else I wanted to show. I can't really remember off the top of my head, actually. But what I want to do this now. So I'm going to call it take damage instead of kill the enemy. And I'll make the damage 1 for now. I mean, we can always have the damage 1. But if we want certain attacks or certain weapons to do more than 1, you know, we'll need to keep track of that. So, I'm pretty sure they have 3 health. So you can see I have to hack away at him 3 times to defeat this guy. And we should have, like, a visual effect. Do we have... I think the starter content has some visual effects. So... this is the capsule component. So, really what we should do is... we can either call it on take damage... let's call it specifically on this logic, actually, because if they were to, like, fall on a spike, it's very specific, but I'm just trying to think. I want to put a visual effect so we can just see. That's not be the best visual effect, but so we can see collision with the enemy. And if they get hit by something like, say, there's a crushing trap or something, if they do that, we don't really want to have it to where they have like that same particle effect for hitting them as we do for them just getting crushed. So I would say, specifically on the overlap here where they're taking damage, let's create a visual effect. And we can actually just spawn an emitter. This isn't necessarily the best way to do this, because this will be very costly if we're doing this all the time. However, it's okay as long as we clean up the asset after using. And we do have auto destroy enabled, so it's not too bad. But some emitters can be very, very expensive. Now, explosion is probably like the worst possible one I can do. But this... I'm gonna put it all the way to the top. Okay, so get the mesh attached to component here. Explosion attachment name. So now this spawn emitter attach, this will spawn it on a specific bone. What we could also do is, instead of doing a spawn emitter attach, we can do spawn emitter at location, and we can pass in the location of the collision. So you can see the other component. I forget exactly how to do this. Give me a second. I think it's here. Yeah, impact point. Here we go. So what we can actually do, if we don't want to spawn it at the attached location, then we could do it based off the location alone. So let's put in fire explosion, and let's do the impact point as the location. I am going to leave the other one there because there's a few things we can do with that as well to make it look different. So that location did not work, the impact point. Oh, this is the sweep result. Ooh, with begin overlap, can we do that? Can we do that? I'm not actually sure. It's been a while since I've gotten a location like that. Give me a second. Give me a second. Might be able to do this though. It's just been a long time. Distance, location. What if it's just a location? Location, world space. Let me try a few things here. So look, this is why I like the live streams though, because so look, I'm at a point where I don't exactly know what I want to do. I know that this is a method that can work because I have used this before in this very similar style in this specific spot, but I'm a little bit curious as to what's going on here. So let's print out the vector. I think you can print out an entire vector. You can. So it's actually printing just at 0, 0, 0. So I don't think this is working at all, quite frankly. And that's okay. I think what's happening is it's not actually performing a sweep. And I don't believe on hit will trigger it all because of the overlap. Because I know this should have the location. We can try it. I mean, this is not ideal here to have 2 events looking for, but I'm just curious if this would work. Hit location. I do want to print this out still. Yeah, it's not going to trigger that because of overlap. Okay, that's what I thought. So we still have 2 options here for what we could do. Make no mistake. We could still do this. I'd have to look into the sweep a little bit if we want to do it this way. The other way we could do it is we could actually have it to where we do it on the enemy, where the enemy receives a hit. And since, sure, they're doing an overlap check, but they can receive an on hit. So we could do that, but let me read this real quick. When receiving an overlap from another object's movement, directions hit normal hit. Okay, good. I was reading that, sir. Got you. Let me try one more thing, and then we'll just implement it a different way. But I'm curious, I am actually curious, if we made this block all dynamic. Okay, what if we made this block all dynamic? Now, I know it's not going to overlap, so it's not going to do this, but it would be able to do on hit at that point. What does it look like if we hit with a component as opposed to an actor? Actually, I know it's not doing anything here, but I think it's going to work the way I think it is. Let me try this real quick. This might actually be okay. This might end up working. I don't think it's... Yeah? Why did he move, by the way? Because it was blocking and it pushed him? Okay. That's actually what I thought, and that's okay. So we do want to keep it overlap. There are ways around it. We could technically add a separate collider to check for collision and then not push the actual enemy. You could do a hit check on the collider, lock the collider on the x-axis, and then take the hit there. That would, I believe that would work. That's kind of actually how we've done some of our collision in a personal project I'm working on. But I don't really want to do that right now. It doesn't feel like the best method. I'm not really satisfied with it. Now, the other method, we still have two methods, is again, do it on the enemy, or we could just actually check and just spawn something on collision. So let's do that as opposed to spawning it at a location. So first of all, we could spawn at the attach point. If we're going to not be spawning at the location of the hit, and we want to spawn it on the enemy itself, then we do just want to attach it to something specific to the mannequin skeleton. I think that's good enough for now. So to do that, let me go to the skeleton. Oh yeah, I have all this logic that I should have in here. The foot collider and all for stepping on them. Here we go. This is on begin play. I'll do this so that we can get our HUD back. This is just me copying some stuff I've already done prior. Okay. There we go. Now we got our hearts back and everything. You can see I actually dropped a few frames when we did it. Yes, I know. The HUD has not been up all stream. There we go. Now the HUD should be working. And we can spawn a little effect every time. It says, attempt to access but is pending kill. So what case is this? This is in the cast here. The cast should just fail. Like, quite frankly, if the cast fails or if this object is invalid, it shouldn't do that. Oh, you know what's happening? It's trying to do it here, isn't it? I bet you that's what's going on. So if I only hit him 3 times, I probably won't get the air. No, I still get the air. Spawn emitter attached. So it gets destroyed, his mesh goes away. So if we just check it, it should just be an issue with this, I think. Let's do this real quick. I think that's all it's complaining about. I haven't done much with emitters, to be completely honest, which is why I'm struggling a bit with this at the moment, but I think that's all it's complaining about. Actually has a problem with the BP. Pending kill. It has a problem with this. The fact that we're using this at all, not the mesh specifically. I don't understand why it's not doing an is valid check on this, though. Like, we can force one all we want, but it's pending kill. That's weird to me. Okay, let me read this. So, I'm starting to understand why the hitbox is so great in the fighting game tutorial after getting it fully set up properly compared to this method you were trying now. Yeah, so that's the thing. There's so many different ways you can do different things. In the fighting game tutorial, we kind of just want like a one-frame check for a lot of the hitboxes. I do have the hurricane kick, does like it actually follows the player, and then we trigger collision, or we trigger checks for collisions manually, which I think is a cool way to do it, and it's definitely usable and efficient. But it wouldn't really work here, and we don't want to really just spawn a collider every time here. We kind of just can have it follow the actual object. Now you could do that in the fighting game, and it would be really not efficient. It would not be efficient to do it in the fighting game with how many hitboxes there are. But it would be really easy to actually do for the developer. But it would cause some, it is easier to have like a function to create them, in my opinion, and based off of how fighting games usually do it. Nice, nice. Boom goes the robot. Right? Look at this. This is looking pretty good. I am getting an error, which I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do an is valid check. It just, it feels weird though. It feels weird to be doing that. Feels like I should not have to do that here, because if this cast succeeds and he takes oh, you're totally right. My bad. This makes no sense, because I'm taking damage and then he could die on take damage, is what it is. He could die. We call take damage after the cast. He dies during the take damage operation, and then he's no longer valid. So his mesh may be valid because he's the mesh is not pending kill until he gets killed. Now I'm not actually sure if this will fix it alone though, because of that issue. And if it doesn't, I will probably just leave it alone. Okay, that did fix it though, because he's pending kill, so it says, no, I won't play it. Well, there we go. So you could play a different effect here. The issue is that it's trying to play this effect off the mesh when he's pending kill, when really we need to be playing it not attached to the enemy, just at the enemy's location. So the better way to do it, instead of just doing this is valid check, is really to play it at the enemy's location prior to plugging, or instead of plugging in the enemy, but that's okay. Hurricane kick? Spoilers, mate. The hurricane kick, that's right. It's exciting, though. It's exciting, I promise. I promise it's not a spoiler. Okay, it's a little spoiler, but I promise it'll be okay. Trust me, we got so many things coming out. So this Sunday we're working on wall bounces and ground bounces, and they're just so fun. They're so fun to play with. It's so cool. I love it so much. Okay, cool. So look at us go. Now we have this working, and we have an effect we can spawn when we hit our opponent. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. And yeah, so let me show you. Since I brought it up, let me show you what I was talking about with the effect. So we go to our enemy. I just call it destroy actor if I have star. I just realized that. I don't even call die. Just go ahead and destroy the actor. Okay, so on the take damage, we see if their health is less than or equal to 0, and then we call die. In die, oh wait, this is the main character. Let's go to the enemy. In die here, we call destroy, but really, we don't want to call die before we call our effect in this case. So what we could do is, watch this. First of all, you probably want to destroy it before like a death animation or some other effect. Hola, what's up, Space Games? Nice to see you. Moment when you fix a bug and the world makes sense. Oh, that is a good moment. You know, it doesn't happen often. The world does not make sense often, I will say. So, what we can do here, a pretty good way to do this, is to just have an event, and we can call it play death VFX. And when you make a blueprint implementable event, what you're really doing here, what you're really doing here is making it where you can you can call it in code, but you can implement it in blueprints. And since, you know, I don't have all my VFX linked up through file path and code. I want to do it in Blueprint. So that's what we're going to do. So we want to play Death VFX before we call die. That way the enemy is not pending kill when we go to destroy, when we go to play the destroyed actor VFX. So hopefully that makes sense. Pending kill just means that he is going to be cleaned up by Unreal because he is destroyed and the memory is trying... His memory? His memory. No, the memory that he's taking up on the computer is trying to be cleared up for other assets, other resources. So he's pending kill, you know, he's not meant to be anything to be done on him, and that's what Destroy does. So we want to play the Death VFX first, and then we'll call Destroy. Now that we made this a Blueprint implementable event, we can compile this so that we can get the event. We can go into the base enemy BP, and we should be able to access this event. Play Death VFX, just like this. Perfect. Like having everything lined up, give it plenty of space. And then now what we can do is spawn emitter here, and you can either do it at location or attached. I'm gonna leave it attached because I like it being on the character. And I almost wonder if I leave out the component, if it's okay in this case, because it's on the actor itself. And we'll put, I mean, we'll just put like smoke for this one. I don't know. We may need to put in the mesh, and that's perfectly fine if we do. I'm just trying to learn myself. So we got explosion, explosion. Yeah, I mean, it did not seem to appear as expected. So we may need to put in the mesh. I wasn't sure. I've never tried without it. Sorry, I'm like, so I'm like, ah, that's ugly. Okay, I think that looks better. That also did not go anywhere. Could be getting auto-destroyed very quickly because of the, because he's being destroyed right after. Let me see real quick. So it should be okay to have this at 0. Let me see if we do just explosion again before I go crazy. Yeah, it's not bringing it where I wish it was bringing it. It could be because there's no delay. Like I wonder if it's getting auto destroy. So I bet if I didn't auto destroy it, hold on. So let's test this. Oh no, it's just actually not going to the right spot. Okay, hold on. Why is that happening? Is that not what I'm doing right here? I'm grabbing the mesh from the enemy and spawning it there. Grabbing the mesh from the enemy and spawning it here. Hello. Oh, that is weird. I'm still wondering if it's this, but play Death VFX. So this should definitely be firing. I have no doubt about that. But let's confirm before we go any further. Oh. About that. Oh, okay, I was right. Oh, okay. Well, then that's the issue, guys. When the event is not firing at all. That would cause the issue, I will say. Okay. So that makes a lot more sense. So I must be just destroying him somewhere stupid. No, but he takes damage and then he dies. And then die should be called play death VFX. One thing I can think of is this destroy really is... If that it really is screwing it up. Oh, you know, hold on. I bet I know what the issue is. I bet I know what the issue is. Everglades says, starting tomorrow I have to take a break from computing. I'm starting to get a neck cramp. Oh, yeah. Yeah, after you do it. This is your fault, Everglades. You're knocking my stuff down off my wall. No, you're fine. Starting to get a neck cramp. Yeah, once you do it for so long, you know, it'll get to you. You're looking at a computer for too long. That's why I have a standing desk, so that I can stand up every so often, walk around between builds and stuff. It makes me feel a lot better. I'm here, just got done dinner and soaking in the sadness. Don't be soaking up any sadness, my boy. There is no sadness here, David. Thanks for coming by, though. I am happy to see you. So if this works now, we're all gonna rage on 1, 2, 3. Ready? 1, 2. Okay, didn't work. Really? Really? What? Hold on. I have a bit of an issue with that. So base enemy should be calling this play death VFX. Do I have to put in a delay? Like, hold on. Let me. Before we go farther, let's build this. Let me relaunch Unreal. Actually, let's just relaunch through Visual Studio every time. Man, you know, it's always the simplest thing. And like, oh, let's put in a VFX as a fun little thing to add. No. That was a mistake, ladies and gentlemen. I'm already down the path though. At this point I'm committed. So if we don't destroy the actor on take damage, is it still gonna play? It is! So hold on. Oh. So I get that, okay, because he's getting destroyed for the but it's not even calling this event in time? Man, that is a slow event. Okay, so what we need to do is this, really. I don't like what I'm about to do. I don't like what I'm about to do, just so you know. And I'm probably going to end up calling a new function, creating a new function entirely and renaming this one just because I hate it so much. But, alright, yeah. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is... I hate that so much. Let me stop this. Let me do trigger death logic instead of die. Trigger death logic. First of all, because he's not really dying here. And what we're going to do is we're going to play the VFX. And then from there we can trigger... Whoops. Here we can do die, and die can still be destroy. I realize I just kind of did that a really roundabout way, but... Now, I don't like this. I genuinely don't like this, but... If we're not going to do it off of an animation, we just kind of want to destroy them, then we are going to need to give it some time. We could just not play it off of the enemy's location, and just... We'll play it where the hit location was, but I don't really want to do that either, because if I do that, then I am going back on what I said earlier, and I intentionally did it this way to avoid that. So let's do it this way. Die already defined. Is it already defined? Because I was pretty sure I just removed it. Yeah, like I literally just removed it. So. Is there a second definition? Where? Where? Would you like to explain where to me? Oh. Okay. Build that. When in doubt, add a delay. Do not do that. I mean, you can do that. I've done it. There are times, as long as you use it leniently, it's okay. Like, as long as you're not over the top with it. What I'm doing here, okay, so I'll explain what I'm doing here, because I'm not trying to keep you guys in the dark. The whole point is that we can do this together. I didn't want to just spawn it at the location of the enemy. I was trying to spawn it where the hit took place. And then I said, no, if we don't want to do that, because, I mean, it was just, quite frankly, I didn't want to spend more time on it right now. I don't think it really adds anything at the moment. Then I said, because we can spawn an event on hit that's unrelated to the enemy taking damage. This is specific. I wanted to spawn it for the enemy taking damage. Great, you know, whatever. But then I found out that destroying it actually, for some reason, the blueprint implementable event call in particular is actually really slow, and it did not want to fire with that there because it was going to pending kill and then cleaning it up. And I get that, okay, but the problem is I don't really want to. So this is what we could do. I mean, it's not good, for the record, but let's do that. So since the particle effect is being attached instead of at the location, then if you call die right there, you could add a delay to make sure that the emitter is finished first. Now, the other thing we could do, and this is probably what we're going to actually end up doing, I get on certain things where, like, I want to make it work that way so I can learn it and think about it more in the future. Now, what we could do is not attach it to the actor at all. So we spawn it at the location, and, you know, I won't do the delay just to test it. So we spawn it at the location that we're given. But, actually, why am I doing that? Get world location. That's fine. And then it shouldn't get cleaned up with the, say, it doesn't get cleaned up with the actor on destroy, because, okay, I know exactly how we're gonna settle this. We're gonna solve this the right way. So it doesn't get cleaned up with the actor on destroy at the location because it's not attached. So it's not a child element that it's trying to destroy. It's going to destroy itself when the particle effect is done. Now that's fine. That's the better way to do it since we don't want to do this delay here. But the only problem with that is actually that if we want to do that, then we're going to need to make sure this event is still getting called in time, though. Like, I don't really want to play call die off of the death VFX event. I should call it in code still. It doesn't hurt anything, but just so that it's easier for me to get to it. But the blueprint implementable event is actually too slow. It calls destroy first before this can be reached and before it would spawn that. So we'd either need to force it to be a delay, force it to do two separate functions like we did, or just spawn it at the location regardless and not use the enemy's location, but use the hit location. Those are the ways we can solve it. Good and not as bad. I do that a bit, I think. So delays aren't bad. I hesitate in saying that, and a programmer watching this just had a stroke, but delays aren't bad. Okay, the problem is you don't want any of your logic dictated by a delay if there's any other logic that is ever going to have to it's ever going to have to rely on that logic you delayed. So let me give you an example. Doing a delay to call a death function, it would be bad, because here's the thing. So I take damage by colliding with the enemy when I'm not doing an attack. So if his death is delayed because of a particle effect, then I could run into him during that particle effect and still take damage. Well, you say, okay, just turn off the collision. We could do that, but look how much extra you're already doing because of a delay. There are other ways to fix it, and usually they're the better method. Now, there are times the delay is the right method. So first of all, if you need to have something load before something else. Now, you can define load order, and it's something really there's no point getting into now because it's very complex. I don't understand a lot of it within Unreal. I know how to do it within C++ very well, but I don't want to say anything before I know, which we'll get into later in the series. But, you know, if you need to have something load before something else and you're not messing with build order yet, like I have that for I make sure the game mode loads first before the characters try to load, and different things like that. Delays are okay. I mean, you can force a delay, and then all the logic after it has to be okay with that delay, though. That's the thing. You want to make sure you're not relying on just the delay. If you had a death animation set up already, would you have done this in the NMBP? So if I had a death animation set up, then I actually would not run into this issue at all. Because I would put, like you said, I would do it in the NMBP, and I would actually have the animation, the end of the animation, have an anim notify. Or have a different state that's like destroy and just kill the enemy then. So I would play the particle effect earlier. The only reason I wanted it to be able to work this way is because I want the ability to play an effect and just get rid of this actor in case we ever need to do that. Like, for example, I know this guy is like the mannequin robot right now, but if I want to be able to hit him, say he's like an explosive character, and I hit him and he just turns into a ball of fire, I want to have that as a capability. And it was more for me just to be able to prove how it would be done, just because it's good to do like a little experiment every so often. But yeah, this whole thing, it's okay. This method is good. The die, I don't like calling the die off of blueprint implementable event. It should definitely be in code. And yeah. It should definitely be in code, so I don't really like this, but it is one way to accomplish what I was trying to do without an animation. You're totally right. Thanks, man. I'm setting that up tonight in between videos. Needed to know. Yeah, so, sorry, you know, for real, sorry. I'm not trying to confuse you or be like, oh, I did it this weird way, not do it this way. This way's okay. Like, and it really is. It's not going to cause any issues. I don't like having logic that I should be able to use everywhere, like, just flat out in this event, right? It's just a little bit weird. It's not a great way to do this. The one thing I will say is I do still have the die function as a code function, so I could call it separately in the code, and this could be here. It's not the end of the world. It's not the best, but it won't cause too many problems. Now, yeah, if you have the NMBP, that would just be better. I was trying to avoid it because I wanted to give us possibilities, but quite frankly, I think it just made it a little bit more confusing, a little bit more difficult. So I apologize. That's on me, but you know, you live and you learn, and that's the point of the series. So here's one method you could use if that fits with what you need, if you don't want to do an animation. But quite frankly, I'm fine with the animation. So what I am gonna do, hold on, let's not sell ourselves short here. Display Death VFX is good. This will work just fine. So it may not do exactly what we wanted it to do, but now what we can do is go back into the code here. I've removed the die from the character BP. I am going to call it in here, and I will show you what we're going to do with it. We need a death animation, but I'll show you what we're going to do. That way I can clean that up and you can have a nicer way to do it. Anyway, back to delays real quick. So, as long as the logic isn't delaying other things. For example, it would be really bad if you were to say, I have an attack that I'm in the middle of, and the attack is 2 seconds. So I want to delay inputs for 2 seconds on the player side. Now, that would be really bad, because if you do that, first of all, if that attack changes at all, and it's not 2 seconds long, that delay has to be changed manually, which is just not great. Also, worse, everything that you do has to then rely on that delay being finished. And if you do time stop, if you do any sort of time dilation, or you skip some frames, you lag. There's literally like 20 different things that could go wrong. Delays aren't bad, but there is a time to use them and a time not to use them, as with pretty much everything else. And the problem is, delays will solve things like race conditions. Race conditions are when two things are trying to happen at the same time and it causes a bug. So basically you have one thing going, like, for example, the camera is trying to spawn in. And then you have another thing going where the character that the camera is supposed to focus on is trying to spawn in. Now this can cause problems if the camera spawns in and it's set to focus the character by default and the character is not there. The camera is not going to know what to focus on. So, you know, it can cause problems. So a delay could fix that. Delay the camera from doing this, and then the character is good. The problem is that doesn't really fix the issue. So if the delay, you know, if on some person's end the camera loads like 5 seconds faster than the character, you're still going to run into the problem. You just have to be careful with it. It's totally good. You're not doing anything wrong by using delays. You just have to make sure if you are going to use one, you're familiar with the possible consequences. So that, you know, don't feel bad about using them. They're very useful in a lot of situations. Just be careful, because they can actually cause you more bugs than they solve. So there you go. See that? You see what we did there? Let me open this back up. So now that we're spawning the emitter at the location as opposed to spawning it attached, the destroy actor, or the destroy function, does not get rid of the emitter. So now, even without an animation, if we play death effects and then we call die, and then die calls destroy, we can still play our... Whoops, I just opened DaVinci Resolve. Get ready for some instant frame drop. Okay. Not DaVinci Resolve, please. Anything but DaVinci Resolve. Such a good program, but... Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Oh, God. My computer is not going to like this. Close window. Get out of here. Get out of here. And nothing stops it. It comes in with an iron fist. Come on. I know he's still going to pop up. Get out of here. You have been asked to leave, sir. Thank you. Okay, Better robot, boom boom, very nice, sir. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. Like, I feel bad that I made that as confusing as I did, but hopefully it makes sense. So, spawning it as an attached actor, apparently, since the game knows that it's going to be destroyed, or since that destroy call adds it to Unreal's list of actors that need to get destroyed, it flat out doesn't even produce the VFX. It just knows it's gonna have to clean it up. But if we spawn it at the location, it can still auto destroy once the VFX is complete, and then the actor can still get destroyed in code. We don't have to do any sort of hacky logic to call it afterward. This is the way I would do it if you don't have an animation. If you do have an animation, you don't even have to call it here. You just trigger it in the NMDP on an nano notifier or on a transition. Okay, but we did that. We succeeded, and we did it in a way that was good eventually. So now we have this. Of course, that can change for every character. The VFX aren't really important in this stage. I'm just kind of setting up a bunch of different systems so that we have all the freedom that we want. Now, we could do some basic AI here, and that would be okay. Let me think for a second. The only problem is I don't exactly remember how to do what I wanted to do today, and I've only got 23 minutes, so it might take me a little bit longer than that to accomplish what I want. So we might do some simple AI next time. I don't need to do anything too complex, but I would like to make the enemy walk back and forth at the least. And I would like the enemy to maybe even have an attack you can use when he gets close to you. I would have to change him from the mannequin, but that's okay. We can get a different enemy. Actually, you know what? That's what we'll set up. Let's pick our enemy out, because then we can do a whole live stream on AI next time. Yeah, let's do that. Let's pick our enemy out on Mixamo. You guys have any preferences for what the enemy should be? This is like a Castlevania-inspired side scroller, so we could do Warwick. Warwick is pretty cool. Oh, he's still doing the same animation though. Let's do like an idol animation. That's the mutant idol. It's like the Liu Kang idol. Maybe just the breathing idol. I mean, it looks kind of silly on him because he's just standing there, and you'll just get the side view. It works enough for now. Let's use that to determine our character. AI is the thing I've been waiting for. Coincidentally, yeah, AI is a big one. So that's kind of the reason I haven't done it in a lot of the series yet. At least not in any advanced AI. I have some actual like assigning an AI controller and putting health bars and stuff above their heads, which is part of AI because it's owned by that other character. But I'm creating a whole AI system in the background right now for the fighting game, and it's a very complex system. I'm not really confident putting it out there until I know that it's going to work for everything I want, and that I'm done with it. That way I can step through it. I've been taking very, very big notes at the moment. I'm using Paragon Minion. Yeah, the Paragon assets are really good. I might actually grab some of those. That was a good point. We could use like the regular zombie can be an enemy. He would fit. This guy doesn't look too much like a... He looks kind of friendly though. I don't know if I want to kill that guy. Doozy looks like he might be a little scary if he comes running toward you. We can use the zombie right here. I don't see anything wrong with this guy. What is the body type though in this animation? Okay, either way, cool. All right. Let's keep this. Let's just download this as is. We do want the skin in this case. Actually, I'm just going to download the character separately, I think. Actually, we can do zombie idol and zombie. It's fine. Download that. I did Ryan Laley's tutorial, like you said. It was Ryan Laley. That guy is very good. I'm not here like to be the one and only programming tutorial guy or anything like that. So I'll be fully honest with you. And Ryan Langley, I think is his name, right? It could be right. Is it Laley? We'll give him a quick shout out. I mean, it is Ryan Laley. Okay, so Ryan Laley, he is excellent, by the way. Like, I'm not gonna try and hide this. I've watched his AI tutorials. You can even see this here. So, I probably shouldn't have some of that stuff up there. Some of my YouTube subscribers. I mean, there's nothing bad, but I don't know if people want their names shown off. I try not to show off anyone else's personal information. But anyway, Ryan Laley, excellent programmer, excellent Unreal tutorial guy. So I've watched his AI tutorials and his networking tutorials. They're both solid. I'm currently using a lot of his AI stuff for the fighting game. He doesn't go over fighting game AI, so they're significantly different, but he has taught it well enough that I'm able to use it. His networking, unfortunately, is not going to be viable at all for the fighting game. I might be able to use it in the other series, but we are going with rollback netcode in the fighting game. So it is, I'm learning a lot on my own. But, at least I'm learning. That's the important part. I'm learning and getting better, and I can help people who want to make rollback netcode in their games work. So hopefully I can accomplish that goal. But yeah, I'm glad you checked out his channel. He genuinely deserves credit. He does a very, very good job, honestly. Okay, so on this, I've downloaded this guy. Go ahead and just bring this in. Bring the whole zombie in. I'm going to rename this. We can leave him a zombie. Problem is, if I import the animation... Oh, God, I hate the way that works. Alright. We'll call the whole... We'll call this... No, we'll call it zombie, because there's more assets that come in attached to the model. That was weird. Unreal, like... Or YouTube just decided it was not going to be interested in that. A fighting game tutorial, programming, Twitch, whoops. So yeah, we can just clear the skeleton and we can import the mesh and the skeletal mesh. It is going to bring the animation along with it, so I'll have to move the animation out a folder. That's why I should have just imported the character directly. But it's fine. It is what it is. Oops, I didn't know what I clicked into. I'm sorry. So here's the zombie. Here's the mesh. You can see that the import worked just fine. So we're golden. Now, this is the anim that came with it. I'm actually, instead of moving it, because moving things in Unreal is actually a pain in the butt, I'm going to flat out just delete the asset. I'm going to delete the animation and put in the animation again in the other folder. I can move things like farther in, but moving them out is the pain. Fortunately, I don't know who made this one, or to give them more credit, but this is the zombie. Oh, hey, RCO. Hi, will you be using the GGPO SDK for rollback? So, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not familiar enough with rollback to be able to get it to work at the moment. However, I am working on it, and I am seeing progress. So, I'm building it from the ground up right now. I need to learn it on my own to be able to... Kind of like what we were talking about earlier, if you were here for the templates and stuff. So like, if you have a template and you don't know how to change anything on it, it's gonna be really hard. Even with the GGPO SDK, it doesn't fit into an Unreal very easily. It's very complicated to get it to work. So without me understanding it, I think I'd have a harder time. I'm actually trying to build it from the ground up. It is not going to be easy. I've been putting a sizable amount of time into it, but I'm confident we can get a solution to work. I really am. I am confident about that because I am seeing progress. I'm learning how it works. I'm learning what I have to do. I don't know enough right now to know if I'll be using the SDK or not. I think if I could understand exactly how it works and understand exactly how I want to implement it, I could probably use the SDK and modify it. That way people had a good starting point, because otherwise it's going to be a ton of stuff that we have to write down and write in code and connect properly. Whereas the SDK you can just bring out, attach the SDK, and then use it, which is much, much easier. So I'm not sure. Right now I still have to figure that out, which is why it's probably going to be one of the last things we cover. I'm going to go through a huge AI series first, and that one's almost done. I'm significantly farther along in that. Once I finish that, you know, I'll stagger the videos, of course, like I do once a week. And it'll give me some time to look at rollback netcode a bit more. But, I'm not sure yet. I will let you know, for sure. I won't keep it a secret and, like, hide. Once I have a definitive answer, I will let you know. I have a good feeling that we can build it from the ground up, learn it, and then we can just transfer the SDK when I make the tutorials. But it's honestly a little hard for me to know right now. That will be the most complicated thing of the whole project, though. If we're able to do that, we will have a genuine project. We can put whatever we want into it. I have no doubts about that. I'm actually surprised at how nice the AI is coming out. I'm very, very excited to show you guys. So I'm gonna push really, really hard to get rollback netcode working on this project, with or without the SDK. I just need, the good thing is, I have a lot of topics to cover, and it trust me, it eats up a good amount of time every week because I do it after work most days. But I think if I had a few months of focusing on just that and not AI in the background, I could have it done. Now, it's gonna require a massive rework on the online multiplayer is good though. Like if you're getting any sort of knowledge about multiplayer, it's good. It is relevant. The problem with fighting it. So I know networking fairly well, actually. I've done it on a personal project, and I also have to do it for work. So I understand it quite well. I could definitely implement it for the fighting game. Rollback netcode throws in a bunch of wrenches, and it basically makes it impossible with Unreal to do it with their networking system. So we have to have our entire own networking system, which I don't, I mean, I'm just going to say it, that's not easy. I don't think anyone thinks that's easy or sounds easy. Even with the SDK, we basically have to rip out the entire Unreal 1, replace it with that SDK, or just completely override it so that it doesn't get used, and then we still will have to add everything that we want to use for the fighting game. So, I'm at chapter 31 of the tutorial, so I have a lot of chapters to go through. Yeah, we're at 61 this week, and trust me, even before we get to rollback netcode, it's probably going to hit well over 100. I have like 30 things in the list in Discord right now for things that I want to implement still. So, I got plenty of time. That's why I'm confident. I'm making good progress in the time that I've had, and I've been splitting my time up between different things like AI and stuff. So I feel good with where we're at. It's going to be a huge overhaul. I'm letting you know ahead of time. When we get it working, we're going to have to rewrite a lot of things. So it's not going to fit in easily because it's not really meant to. But I couldn't teach it from the beginning. First of all, I didn't know anything about it. Like, I knew it existed, and that was about it. And two, I want everyone of all experience levels to be able to do this tutorial. And you're not going to start with rollback netcode and go to do that. If that's the first time you're looking at game development, you're not going to understand that, and that's not an insult toward anybody. I didn't understand it the first time I looked at it. I've been coding for 4 years. 4 years professionally. I've been in school for 2 years before that, and I coded in high school, and actually even before I was in high school. So yeah, it's not an easy topic. I am more than confident we can do it, but it's not something overnight. So I will let you know. I will actually keep you updated. I will try and keep the whole community updated when we get closer to releasing that, if it's going to be the SDK that's been released or if it's going to be ground up. It's not easy for sure. Even the Capcom NetherRealm took like a year to implement it right. Yeah, so the only thing we have going for us here is that the problem they had, if I understand it correctly, is because they built all the animations and all the characters to not involve this in their multiplayer to begin with. So they actually had to change over. They had to do modifications on every animation, every stage, like a lot of visual effects, and that's like on top of what the programmers had to do for the actual system. And they had a heck of a time because there's so many characters, and specific attacks had to have special changes implemented. Because basically you have to like capture frames during your game, and you need to take like these little snapshots during your game and rely on them. And certain attacks, like, oh, this is a rush attack, well, I have to capture this specific thing. So we do have it going for us that when we reach, this is just a tutorial series after all, so people can do whatever they want. But by the time we reach that, you shouldn't have like 30 characters with fully finished animations and all. It should make it a little bit easier on us. But yeah, them taking that long to implement it is, it's a little concerning, I'm not gonna lie. But I am more than confident, I'm more than confident, and I can say that with a straight face. I think we'll be okay. I really do. I just don't know if it'll be like, oh, this is like a 5-episode thing. I might have to dive deep into networking first, completely get people kind of caught up on networking, and quite frankly, buy me some time. Because I like doing the videos every week, but it might take months, if not years. And I got plenty I can do. I can actually polish. I can convert this into a real game down the line if it needs to be. I am committed to doing it, and I believe I can. I'm fully confident that I can, but it is going to be one heck of a ride. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, AI I was also nervous about because I've only ever done one project with AI, and I used some tutorials I found online to get basics, and then I used actual, like, I was reading papers that people had written on fighting game AI. Like, this is an actual research project. Why is it so dark? I'm sorry. What the heck is going on? It is the darkest thing I've ever seen in here. Can you guys even see me? Like, I just looked around, and I'm like, why is it pitch... Man, okay, wow. It is like... crazy dark. I'm sorry. That just really surprised me. Anyway. Yes, they had to change the entire pipeline system to adapt it to... Yeah, so that's the problem, too, is they changed... First of all, adapting it to rollback netcode was not easy for them. I am positive of that. And then they adapted it, and then they were like, oh, crap. Everything that we have here does not work with it. Good luck. Like, rebuild the game. Wavy Wolfgang 81, I love your attitude. First of all, thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate the compliment. You know, I'm always an upbeat guy. Seriously, I don't think I'm not faking anything for this. I am confident in our ability. First of all, I'm confident in our ability as a team. So when I started this, I was doing this to try and help people. And I mean, let's call it what it is. I was trying to get people to watch the fighting games. I was like, look at this cool game we made. I want to show it. But then when I started actually making it, I was like, this is a really nice community. I really want to make something nice here. And you can see, hopefully, if you've been watching any of my videos, I'm really putting a lot more effort into it. I'm putting a lot more thought into it. I'm trying to edit better. I'm trying not to confuse people. I'm taking notes. Like, I really want to make this for everyone who wants to use it. And I want it to be completely free. I don't want to be one of those, here's $200 for this. I want it to be completely free. I want people to be happy about game development. I want them to make the games they want to make. And that really became important to me. So I'm happy. I'm confident. Things have been going better than expected. Honestly. Like, I really, really feel good about the AI that I'm working on currently. Every week we have these new episodes where I'm like, man, this is just so cool. And it just feels good. So, you know, I'm just happy to be doing this with you guys. So I'm glad you like my attitude, for real. I appreciate that. But most importantly, just I feel confident because you guys give me a lot of support. I mean, you're here, and I know that if I run into trouble, I can take some extra time to solve these issues, and we'll get through it. I think we're gonna do it. I really do. I'm committed to finishing it with you, Sean, and doing the side scroller too. It's my baby. It's my baby, right? I don't know. The side scroller games, they just always get me. They just always get me. They're so fun because my favorite game of all time is Castlevania-Symphony of the Night. So I know this doesn't look anything like Castlevania right now, but you can see I'm just kind of working on some random old mechanics that could be useful. I really like the door mechanics. I mean, they're quite simple to implement, but it's just something I enjoy. Like, I think they look cool. Same, his attitude helps dismiss some of the scary parts. Thank you so much. Seriously, I really appreciate that. So yeah, I mean, listen, coding is scary, and I mean, let's call it what it is. Sometimes things suck. Okay, when I started the series, I didn't have root motion capability because I did not know that Mixamo models and animations did not support it in Unreal with the way that their skeletons are set up. And I dreaded changing everything over to root motion. And it took me like 2 hours. And I'm like, wait a second, now it's working. Like, it's scary because I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do with it. But then once you start learning, you say, okay, this isn't so bad. I have an understanding of this. I can now modify it to what I need to do. And once you can do that, you have all the freedom in the world. As long as you have the time to do it, you can make it work. Does it hurt remaking a system? Yeah, it hurts. It hurts every time. But it's part of coding. You'll learn that if you haven't already. There's times you're going to have to change it. It could be the best system in the world without exaggeration, and you might have to change it because something changes in your game, and it just doesn't fit with it anymore. And that's okay. So, sure, rollback netcode's scary. But scary because not a lot of people have done it in Unreal. And there's a lot of discovery to be done. But there's a lot of things people haven't done in Unreal. No one's made a fighting game tutorial on YouTube. No one has, you know, maybe made a fighting game AI tutorial that I can find. But the research is there. You can look it up, find it. We learn, and then all of a sudden you're making progress. It feels good. And you're like, wait a second, we can accomplish this. So, yeah, coding is scary. I'm not going to even say it's not. There is definitely a scary part. There's things I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm going to address that. But then I sit there and I start looking at it. I'm like, wait a second, that wasn't even that bad. And then you know for next time. That's the most important part. You guys saw that I struggled making this VFX work on this death, like before he got destroyed, for like 20 minutes. But now I always know if I'm going to attach something to an actor, I have to know they're not going to be destroyed on the same frame, or at least during the same, like, not really the same tick, but the same logic, the same, I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But anyway, I have to know they're not going to be tagged for destruction. And now I know that. That'll be something I always remember. You could not recover anything. Wait, what happened? Wait, what feels bad? What happened? The fighting game launch mechanics and burn mechanics are in my side scroll at the moment. It's a thing of beauty bouncing minions around. Right, that is so cool. That's the good thing. Like everyone can follow the tutorial series, hopefully, and make their own project out of it. That is so exciting to me. At least you don't have to do everything again. That's something. That is something. Absolutely, it is. Sorry about my English, by the way. It's not my first language. First of all, your English is great. It is great. I just got confused on what you were referencing, and I might have missed the message. Possible. I try to, but I watched so many of the videos I can't get back to where I had it quickly by skimming. Got you. I didn't even see it. I don't even see a message there. So you lost your... I don't think this will show. Get out of here. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I'm missing a lot of messages here. Everglades was talking too. I don't have this on my phone. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. Let me read this on here. Could be worse, RCO. I have to start the fighting game over because I screwed up being a noob. Oh, I'm sorry. I am sorry to hear that. That is actually very normal. In our final project at school, someone nuked their entire... They were using source control, mind you, which source control is meant to prevent you from issues like that. And, yeah. I'm not insulting anyone, but they lost their entire project and somehow deleted it off of source control. So it does get worse, trust me. And then Everglade said, but the way people online talk about it, I thought inputting rollback would be plug and play. Okay, so you can implement rollback netcode fairly easily in your game that's not using Unreal. In fact, it is basically plug and play once you do that. Unreal has its own networking system. Now, the problem is, if you don't have a networking system, that rollback networking system that they have, you can plug it in and it should work, but the way Unreal handles like actors and things like that, it's not going to transfer over very well. There's going to be a lot of things that don't get tagged, is I guess the appropriate word, for replication online and things like that. It might be easier than I'm making it out to be, but that's not me trying to, like, you know, raise myself up. Like, oh yeah, I was able to do this. This was so hard. I don't want to set the bar, like, low and be like, oh yeah, this will be easy. And it turns out to be a nightmare. It could very easily be a nightmare. If it doesn't support anything that Unreal does as far as, like, actors and stuff, it's going to be a lot of work. So I don't think it's plug and play for oh, was to indicate sarcasm, since I know it's not easy. Oh, got you. My bad. Sorry, I did not get the sarcasm thing. However, there's a genuine thing on what I'm saying here for what you said. There are people who it is plug and play for them. The SDK can actually work if you have a networking system that supports it. It can actually work fairly easily. Maybe not plug and play. I might be over exaggerating, but there's actually something to that. It is possible to make it work, but you need to have your own networking system set up already to incorporate it, and that's the biggest thing I'm concerned about. So, sorry that I missed the sarcasm, but it's going to be harder with Unreal, is my point in that. So Unreal just makes our life easier for so many other things. I think it's worth the trade-off. I messed up the fighting game tutorial a long time ago and deleted it. That's what it's referring to. You lost the part. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I literally do not have those messages on my phone. I don't know why. I'm on the live chat, and I had to see them on my PC. So, I don't know. Yeah, sorry I missed your message. All your messages about that. Hopefully I didn't miss anything else throughout the stream. Alright, I'm having a great time talking to you guys. Like, legitimately. I seriously don't even want to end the stream. They're streaming Borderlands 2. I seriously don't even want to end the stream. But, I probably should get going. I do have a few things I have to do for tomorrow. Let me think here for a second. Okay, so let's at least talk about what we're going to do next. So today's video was on crouching for the first-person shooter tutorial. Very, very simple video. The reason I'm doing that, I'm getting rid of all the, I'm getting all the mechanics out of the way that we want for our first-person shooter tutorial, because the next video is going to be on animations for it. And it's really important that we have everything kind of set up now, because we have to do both animations that the character sees and animations the player that is in control of that character sees, and animations that other players and other characters can see. So that's why I did that. I'm excited that's getting there, because it's going to make a huge difference when we have like reloading animations and just like animations like sprinting animation for the character. It'll be a big difference. The other thing, so Sunday's episode is on wall bounces and ground bounces in the fighting game tutorial series. So wall bounces, obviously, if I launch an opponent, and either if the hitbox is tagged to be a wall bounce, or, you know, you can do something like if the force is above a certain amount, then they get bounced off the wall, get knocked down, and they can stand back up. And ground bounces, I can do like an overhead attack, hits them into the ground, they bounce up, and then you can hit them again while they're in the air, or, you know, they just fall back down and get back up. So I'm excited about that episode. I think that's a lot of fun, and not too bad to implement. What else? So next, I think I'm going to stick with the live streams being on YouTube. I wanted to kind of do it on Twitch because it was easier, but having you guys here, it's not too bad, and I like having this kind of archived right on this channel. So I know there's 3 episodes so far that have been on Twitch instead of on here, but I think from now on, all the Friday live streams for the programming streams are going to be right here on YouTube. So it'll be 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Friday. And that's about all I got, guys. If you wanna check out the other live streams, they are on my Shawnthebro 27 YouTube channel, which is really just my Twitch archive channel. But those are the important videos out of that. I mean, by all means, check out any of the videos. I mean, I have fun playing games with you guys too, but the important ones, the real reason that I wanted to make sure that I was uploading every video are the programming live streams. So if you're interested in this series, what we worked on, then feel free to check that out. Otherwise, I don't think any of the other tutorials, the programming streams, are going to go on the Twitch channel. So I don't think you'll miss anything. Nice, I wanted a wall bounce mechanic in my fighter. Yeah. Wait, wall bone? Is that what I saw? Wall bone mechanic. Sorry, I was just thinking like like a bunch of bones as the wall. That would be a cool level. Like a purgatory level. So, yeah, I think you're going to like the wall bounce. I feel very proud of it. It's very modifiable, so you can modify like how long, how far they bounce, how much they bounce. And, you know, you can actually hit them off of it too, so it could lead to combos. My animations are a little bit long because I haven't cut them down. We haven't gotten into like frame combat, hit stop, anything where the animations really have to be like frame dependent at the moment. So when I cut them down, I'll focus more on combos again to make sure that's feasible. But yeah, you can combo off of it and stuff, so I'm very excited about that. No, I figured it was autocorrect. I just thought it was funny because I just thought of like this mound of bones that were like the 2 wall boundaries on each side of the stage. I am doing to remember this next week for sure. Great stream, man. Going to be binging instant coffee and we'd end your videos all weekend. That's a nice trap idea, wall bones, right? Well, thank you so much for watching the videos. Enjoy the games, for real, and for all the support you've given. I meant what I said. I really appreciate having you guys here. I am doing this because it's fun for me, but having you guys here just makes it 100 times better. It's so nice to talk to you guys and, you know, share ideas, talk about what's coming up. It's fun for me. I love having you here. Thank you all so much for the support. I want to, one of these days, it's just because I'm spending so much time on the AI and the rollback netcode, I want to get in more characters. Everglades, perhaps your characters, and more stages, more sound effects. I want to make it a little bit cleaner. I'm not intending to make it its own game per se. I want it to be a template and a tutorial that people can use happily. But I kind of want to get in a few more things just so that it's a little bit more appealing as well. It's just a lot of work. So anyway. Right, wall bones. Sounds like a Yeah! What does that sound? Is it just dry bones? I guess I'm thinking of wall bones. Okay, I'll shut up now because I've been talking a lot. But guys, thank you so much for coming by. This was a great stream. I love just talking with you. I can talk for hours about this stuff, so it's so great. And I'll be here. I'll be on this YouTube channel every Friday from now on. So if you ever want to come talk, come hang out with me while we do stuff, then we'll go ahead and do it. You know, we'll have fun with it. And I look forward to talking to you guys more often. So I'm going to wrap up the stream here. I need to drink because I forgot my water, and I'm surprised that my throat has allowed me to talk this much without going dry. So I better not push my luck. I'll do my outro because at this point it's just kind of something I have to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone. And then I got to go over here, which is always like, especially during Twitch. Peace, bro. Thank you. See you later. Great stream. Have a good weekend. Thank you. Same to you. Appreciate you guys. One quick thing. So usually for Twitch, I sit over there, and I have to like get up. I'm like, oh, bye, guys. And I gotta like get up. You like see my stomach. I'm like, yeah, walking over. And then I have to end the stream. So luckily I'm sitting here. But, you know, it's kind of a weird one when I'm like, oh, I gotta get up. I need a remote to disable the stream. Anyway, guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you later. Everglade says thanks and have a good one. Same to you. Thanks, guys.